Hello again, everyone. Edwin Learnard back once again. In this YouTube segment, I want to talk a little bit about the grocery store slash supermarket chain called Kroger. And many of you may know they have a number of stores, supermarkets in the United States. I'm sure, in a lot of people's eyes, it's seen as a very reputable company. I'm sure there are a lot of friendly people in it. But I'm actually going to call this Kroger the unfriendly folk. And contrary to that slogan they at least had, I don't know if they currently still use that or not. They had something like Kroger the friendly folk. Uh, but what really this is about, though, people, and this is surprising too because this is in Nashville and Antioch, Tennessee, where you supposedly have surfeit of hospitable, amiable people, but people couldn't be more wrong about really about what the perception is in this area. And also, and really not just the perception is where people think a lot of people here are real friendly and hospitable, amicable, and a lot of them actually aren't. And I know firsthand through my experiences at the Kroger supermarket. Now, what I've noticed when I go into this store, the two that I go to mainly, I frequent most. There's one in the Nashboro Village area in Nashville, Tennessee. And then there's another one that's over on in Hickory Hollow. It's in Antioch. I believe Mountain View Road is the street. And don't get me wrong, there's a few people that will speak and are gregarious and friendly, but there's a lot of them that seem like, they're not really angry, acerbic, but like they're very despondent, disconsolate. They seem like they're frustrated, maybe, and they don't really speak to any, really, at least not to me when I go in. I'll see a lot of the employees walk around with their heads down and very unfriendly, and will just basically, I understand what a lot of that is attributed to. A lot of it's attributed to frustration and exasperation. Maybe there's a number of them that are unhappy with their wages and what the amount of money they're making. Maybe it has something to do, in some cases, with certain rapport or compatibility issues with their supervisors, or maybe the lack of camaraderie at the place they're located. But that shouldn't have anything to do with the interaction, or sometimes in this case, a lot of lack of interaction with the customers. Sadly, I've seen a number of occasions where I will be going into one of these Krogers, and they'll have an employee that'll be sitting out, sitting or standing outside. They'll be taking their break or whatever. And very conveniently, when I'll come to the front door, they'll just really, very oddly, conveniently finish their break, or they'll throw their smoke butt to the ground, and then they'll walk inside. And really, it gives you a very uncomfortable feeling, like, maybe there's something where you're being scrutinized, or maybe it's because I carry a bag and I am who I am. And when I say I am who I am, I'm connected with marginalized society. I will be first to tell you I'm pretty much at or near poverty level income. I might even be below. I don't know the exact number, but my income level is not what you would call exorbitant. I'm probably at about I don't know what the average income is for people in the United States. If it was $50,000 a year, I'm probably near 20% of that. I will be honest, I'm humble enough to acknowledge that and be veracious and be truthful about that, people. The thing about it is, when people have to act like that, it makes others disenchanted. And I think a lot of times you have people that do that in these stores because they figure, you know what, I don't care how I'm going to treat you, because you know what, I know you're going to come in anyway. And also, they're apathetic regarding these matters because they feel confident that they are going to retain their position no matter what. I had a couple of very negative experiences at the Kroger at Hickory Hollow in Antioch on, I believe the street is Mountain View Road. There was one time when I was trying to help a cashier. Actually, I was trying to do something actually beneficial for her. I was on, her checkout, and I was trying to move my groceries closer to her on the I guess you call it the conveyor belt, closer to where she was, because so she wouldn't have, maybe I guess what I was trying to do is facilitate the transaction process. She'd have a little shorter reach for some of them, and she wouldn't have to wait on even a few more seconds in terms of hitting, when you hit the button and make the items come toward you on that conveyor belt. I figured she'd have less of a delay in doing that. So in terms of getting those grocery items to her from the conveyor belt. So that is what I was trying to do, and she kind of snapped at me and said something, I don't remember exact precise words, but something to the effect, well, you're please, she's like, don't do that. She's like, don't do that. That's just making it worse on me or something. Wow. I'm glad I didn't accidentally spill anything on that conveyor belt. I mean, there would have been hell to pay probably, right? Um, then there was another incident with another one at this Hickory Hollow store in the Antioch by Mount View Road, I believe the name of the street is. Um, I was going to one of the automated checkout lanes, and I was getting ready to make my transaction and pay for my items like I always do, like I always prove I do every time I go in there, and I leave my bag at the front of the counter. And they know, that should be enough for them to understand that my intentions are nothing but good whenever I come into that store. However, I had one, it was a young girl. I mean, she might have been like maybe 20, 18, 19. And I understand a lot of young people can be somewhat impudent and brash. I mean, I was young at one time. I know, yeah, you're going to say it was in the prehensile age. I know, haha. Yeah, it was some time ago. I'm approaching the half-century mark, people. But getting to the point, what happened in this case was I was at the automated checkout lane, and this lady, employee, she went over, she said, "Oh, sir, are you okay?" And I didn't really feel like she went over because she was genuinely concerned for my well-being. I said something like, "Well, miss, I'm okay." What? She says, "Oh, you were just looking at the space, and I was trying to figure out what's going on." I said, "Miss, the reason I didn't start scanning my items right away when I got to that automated checkout spot or what have you was because there was a buggy position over there, and I think it was like empty, but I couldn't understand what it was doing over there. I'm thinking, it could have actually been moved maybe, and I didn't know if another customer was over there going to do something with it. It might have, I can't remember if it actually had items in it or not, but there was a reason why I was reluctant to move that shopping cart, and that's what I explained to her. And shortly after that, she got even mouthy with me, and I said, "Well, what's going on?" She said, "Oh, I was doing my job." And, I never got an apology for any of these people. Now, the store manager I spoke with there did apologize to me. Now, that is something that is, I guess you could say, there's some consolation that I got some kind of apology, but it's a shame that I couldn't have gotten it from the people in question that I had these adverse experiences with at Kroger. And a number of times, like I would go, like say at the one at Nashboro Village, I would go into the bathroom just to honestly use the restroom. There's no nefarious purposes behind it. And it's interesting that a lot of times a Kroger employee may come right behind me, like seconds after I go in. Now I understand there's a fine line between being paranoid and also being observant. I'm convinced, I'm observant, and I'm making observations. You could have some coinkydinks and coincidences, some cases, but when you see these same patterns happening continually and continually and in a persistent manner, people, there's no such thing as too many coinkydinks, right? We all know that. I mean, I wouldn't exactly say I'm supreme in the street sense department, but I'd like to think, being from New York, coupled with the fact I have nearly 50 years life experience, that I do have some street sense. And I could tell you one thing, that people can knock on New York all they want, people, they could do that. But when I was in New York at the supermarkets there, they gave me on average a lot more respect than they do at this place. The problem too is that Nashville denigrates marginal society like there's no tomorrow. There was something, it was some time ago, and I don't know what the stats are for it now, people, but that Nashville, Tennessee, at least I guess as far as the major cities went, condemned marginalized society more so than any other major city. And a number of times, like I said, I know that, I'll go into the stores and I'll have the employees, be going in there and, looking, at me and doing that, just basically very, whether it's negatively or whether it just out of mistrust or what have you. And what really the reality is that it's very rude, scrutinizing somebody that is only guilty of being themselves. There's really no need for that. And the problem is the people I think they do it at this place, at these Kroger's, because they know the reality is they feel that you're still going to go there due to maybe lack of supermarkets in that particular area. And it's almost like they're capitalizing on it. They say, we're going to do whatever we want to do because we know that, unless you go to a different area, a different part of Nashville, or move away to another city, that you're going to keep coming in here and you have no choice but to endure what you're enduring. And, they say that, life is not fair, and unfortunately, this is an example, unfortunately, where it actually isn't. And I make this video to let people understand that, Kroger had their slogan about being the friendly folk, but I could tell you right now, at least from my experience at the Kroger's I go to, that it is far from it. Absolutely. And I don't know, as I stated, I believe earlier in this video, that I don't know if Kroger actually has, that slogan still, or they go by that, but they certainly don't follow that creed. I could tell you right now. And it's funny too, and you would think after all the years that I've gone into this store, that somebody, that people would give you more respect, that they don't have to, conveniently finish their break, less than a minute after you enter the store and follow you in there. That is just completely downright rude. And the thing about it is, they act like, they try to play it off like it's a coincidence. And treat you like you're dumb or you're stupid, that you're oblivious to, that they think, Nashville, Tennessee, I'll tell you something, people, Nashville, Tennessee area, people do the same things to you here as they do everywhere else, that they talk about the Midwest and they talk about the Northeast with people being rough. But the reality is, it's done with the proverbial smile on the face. That is true. It is fact. They do it in a nice way. Poop is poop, right? Whether you sugarcoat it, whether you glaze it, it is what it is, correct? So that's basically what I'm saying. And the reality is, people, that Kroger is not as friendly as the reputation it's supposed to have connected with it is. Absolutely not. And be honest with you, the main reason I still go in there is because I just don't have really an overabundance of options remaining at this point in time. Unless I eventually, just get out of state or something or go somewhere else. That's really, unfortunately, there's really not many other options. to deal with, as far as where I'm going to go, as far as grocery shopping goes. Sad but true. But like what people will do too is like if you go, like for an example, now I don't know if this actual experience ever happened, but this is something like something they may do. Like say, you're down an aisle, right? And, you're looking for something. You might have an employee, stop what they're doing from 3 aisles away and conveniently go over and scan an item in real super close proximity to where you're standing. Now the difference is, see, I'm from New York originally, as many of you may know, and what the difference is, if someone were to do that in New York, what the difference would be, it'd be done in a more outright and blatant manner. It would be done such where the person, the employee, might actually just stand there and just glare at you and just watch you and let you know really what's going on in a direct way. I would almost respect that more than somebody trying to be Mr. or Mrs. Polite and just act like it's just a coincidence. I'll just happen to go down that aisle and stop whatever I'm doing from 3 or 4 aisles away just to go do something and stock an item or scan an item right next to you. I mean, that's what I'm saying, and it's what they do is they treat you like you're dumb here. There was somebody actually that came into the office I'm at one day, and I overheard her saying something like, it's terrible here. You go into a store and the employees follow you around. I was getting ready to interject and say, yeah, I know about that. I know about that all too well because I've experienced it. I'm glad I'm not the only one, because at least I know it wasn't just me that was being maybe condemned. It's generally marginalized society in general. And I believe, it wouldn't surprise me if these people, maybe they weren't driving the best vehicle. Maybe it was something about the way they dressed. See, I carry a bag when I go into the store, but the reason I carry a bag is because I'm a walker and ride the bus. There's a very logical explanation for that. And I mean, I leave my bag, the one at the Hickory Hollow location, I'll leave my bag there up front, and at the one the one at Nashboro Village, they tell me not to leave it up there anymore, so I have no choice but to carry it with me. So I mean, that's basically what it is, people. And just to let you know that, I mean, I really don't recommend these places for anybody to go. I mean, unless you're just going, if you're not worried about the friendliness and any interaction, then you know what, then, I mean, I'm sure Kroger prices are competitive. I will say one thing about them: they generally have what I'm looking for as far as food goes. And I know that's usually the primary reason. I mean, they're going to shop in a supermarket because they're going to purchase food. And whatever products, non-food items that may be there that they're interested in, magazines or what have you, fine. I'm sure they got a plethora of magazines and food items. But if you're going thinking that, people are going to be all friendly with you and this and that, think again, people. You really need to think again about that. So anyway, people, that'll conclude this YouTube segment about Kroger, the unfriendly folk. And until next time, people, Edwin Learnard saying, stay well.